morning. My name is Jasmine Barner, and I will be narrating our presentation for African American culture. The current population of the African American culture in America is 13.4% of the U.S. population, which is 328,239,523 people. The political system is a democracy. Form of currency is the U.S. dollar. Language is English. Major religions are Catholic, Baptist, and Muslim. The African Americans were originally from Africa but were captured by slave traders beginning in the 15th century. A majority of the enslaved went to South America and the Caribbean. The Europeans traded goods in Africa for the slaves. The first Africans were brought to North America in 1619, 12 years after the Jamestown settlement was established. Slave trade lasted in America from 1619 to 1865, and at least 12 million African slaves were taken to the New World, or the Americas, since the beginning of slave trade. Most slaves were from Angola and Senegambia. In 1916, African Americans migrated north in what was known as the Great Migration, and in the 70s, African Americans began migrating back down south for familial ties and economic betterment. African American artwork. Pictured here are African American face jugs. The jugs were used for many functions, however, one function was as a grave marker. The concept was to make the jug so ugly that it would ward off evil spirits. They were also found along the routes of the Underground Railroad, which indicated how much they were valued by the enslaved African Americans. In African American culture, quilts were made to record big events such as marriages and births, family albums, cultural information, and to ward off evil spirits. In addition, quilts were made to send messages by members of the Underground Railroad. Prominent architecture. Pictured here are the National Museum of African American History and Culture, the First African Baptist Church, which is the oldest Black church in North America, and the Center for Civil and Human Rights. Most of the artwork in African American culture depicted what was happening within the culture, such as jazz, attending church, and other gatherings. Pictured here are three paintings from Ernie Barnes. First one is Quintet. The second one is Friendly Friendship Baptist Church, and the third one is Sugar Shack. Family, marriage, and religion. Family. Typically close and may include non-relatives. The elderly are respected. Children come first. Women make most of the decisions in the household, however, men do make some. Typically, both are employed. Marriage. Historically, Africans required marriage before children, and the father was held responsible for the family. With slavery, the family unit was removed as the male was used for breeding and was not held responsible for the family, and he was usually separated from the family. After slavery, the non-responsible behavior continued but was transitioning. African Americans moved more towards marriage before children in later years. Now you may see a generational view of marriage impacting all races where it's more acceptable to have children before marriage. Religious patterns. Many have a strong Christian or Baptist background and may follow Islam. They turn to church in times of struggle. Most pray for healing. Most believe in miracles and the existence of life after death. Holidays and celebrations. A major African American holiday is Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa is celebrated from December 26th to January 1st. It was created in 1966 by Dr. Maulana Karenga, a Black Studies professor. Dr. Karenga wanted to design a celebration that would honor the values of African culture and inspire African Americans who were trying to create a better life for themselves. Kwanzaa is based out of Africa, where they have celebrated a year-end harvest for thousands of years. Kwanzaa means first fruits of the harvest and is a Swahili name. Throughout the 7 days of Kwanzaa, each honors a different principle which are key to building strong, productive families and communities. The principles of Kwanzaa are unity, self-determination, collective work and responsibility, cooperative economics, a sense of purpose, creativity, and faith. Historical sites. Tuskegee Airmen National Historical Museum. One of the historical sites of African Americans is the Tuskegee Airmen National Historical Museum in Detroit, Michigan. The Tuskegee Airmen of World War II were the first group of black military airmen. They were not considered equals in the eyes of the law, but still defended their country. The museum shows their training and the roles that they played in desegregating the military. Another historical site for African Americans is the National Civil Rights Museum in Memphis, Tennessee. There are many civil rights museums across the country, but the significance of this one is that it is built across from the Lorraine Motel where Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated as he stood on the balcony. They have different audios of history during the Jim Crow laws and also the boycott of segregation. When slaves brought food to America in the 1600s, they brought many different foods with them. With the foods they brought, they also brought new recipes to add to American dishes. During slavery, they received small portions of food, so they created new recipes that later gained them the term of soul food. A typical soul food meal would consist of black-eyed peas, candied yams, macaroni cheese, stewed greens, chicken, fried fish, or pork. The chicken or pork would be fried or smothered in some type of gravy. Here is the recipe for baked macaroni and cheese. You preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Place water and a tablespoon of salt in a heavy saucepan and bring to a boil. Slowly stir the macaroni. Boil for 12 minutes, stirring continuously. Macaroni is done when firm but tender. Strain the macaroni and rinse with a little cold water. You drain it. Mix the macaroni with butter and set aside. In a small bowl, beat eggs until light yellow. Add milk and a teaspoon of salt. In a large buttered casserole dish, put a layer of the macaroni, then add a layer of cheese. Continue to do this, ending with a layer of cheese on top. Pour the egg mixture slowly and evenly on top. Sprinkle with paprika and bake for 30 to 40 minutes until the top is bubbly and golden brown. And here's a recipe for collard greens. Rinse the collard greens under running water to remove all the grit. Lay 3 or 4 collard leaves on top of each other. Roll them up and cut them into 1-inch slices. Line the bottom of a large stock pot with bacon. Cook on medium until the bacon is crispy. Do not drain the bacon grease. Add water to the stock pot and bring to a boil. Chop 1/2 onion and add along with ham hock, salt, and pepper. Let the mixture boil for 1 hour to thoroughly cook the ham hock. Add the chopped collard greens and the remaining half of the chopped onion. If there are too many greens to fit in the pot, add them in batches. As the greens will add more. Simmer for about 30 minutes, stirring frequently to distribute the ham flavors. Serve with chopped green onions and hot sauce if desired. Here are some examples of traditional African dress. Pictured here are women and men in robes and dashikis. Typically, you don't see that a lot anymore with the African American culture because it is more Americanized, but these are some examples. And traditional music. Much of our traditional music aligns with our traditional dances such as tap, swing, hip hop, twist, jitterbug, juba dance, cakewalk, and line dancing.